Oh, we moved my sister on Saturday. I had the same pain come back in the same place. I'm like, oh, really? And a week. And then like yesterday, it's fine. Today, it's fine.
But I was just made.
Well, they didn't have to do a CT or any kind of scan.
So I think it's all.
What did they do? The blood work?
They just figured out this was. So I figured if it's like torturous or something, then I'll go in and have whatever the CT scan is. But I was like so incredibly sick last Wednesday. Anything could have happened. I was so sick. It was awful.
I feel a lot better. Yeah. Well, and I wasn't sure until last night.
Trying to put you down. But yeah, it's good. I love it. Oh no,
Because that's crazy. Well, that's like, so you can't be the king of the girl that's single. It's just like hard work. Sets up a really big. I know, thank God. I gotta tell Carla. I haven't told her yet. How you sit over there? Ready for the real?
each is around this way. And you can't show up that door. They all right.
I'm not saying that the issues, but as far as like all this stuff like that, I just.
At this point, you want to say, but with this, something we want to win bills, it's like, the person sits in the seat, it's more active role.
Maybe she wasn't even listening today, I don't know. It's about where she's at.
I did it.
Had it not rained all day long up there, it would have been a different story.
I saw some pictures of that.
Sitting down.
It was, it was fun.
I saw some pictures, they look pretty mighty.
You seen pictures? Oh, yeah.
There's some other people that deal.
I've been looking. It was, I do it again. The cool thing next year is that I'm gonna do HVAC crap.
Oh, nice.
The old guys. So that's gonna help my rankings. Hard to believe. No kids, no, I think it was just James. I think Shelley was gonna show up too. And Glenn?
Now I do. I call this meeting to order. Would everyone please rise for the pledge of allegiance? Mr. Wilson, please lead the pledge.
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. A couple of quick reminders. Everyone please turn off your cell phones. As I'm looking outside and I'm seeing the beautiful, beautiful weather, the break from the rain, I want to thank you all for taking time out of your evenings to come and spend it with us. Quick question, is anyone here planning to address the board on a non-agenda item this evening? Non-agenda items? Okay, then we will skip the instructions for public participation. Moving on, board comments and observations. Trustees? Okay, we are off to a rip-roaring start. And as I asked earlier, there were no public comments on non-agenda items, so let's move right along to the items that we do have. Item number 1, approval of the minutes for the special board meeting April 3rd. Do I have a motion to approve the special board meeting minutes as submitted? Second. We have a motion and a second. Do we have any changes or additions? Seeing none, all those in favor of approving the special board meeting minutes for April 3rd as submitted signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? The meeting minutes are passed. Number 2, the regular board meeting minutes for April the 3rd. I would entertain a motion to pass them or approve them as submitted. Second. I have a motion and a second. Do we have any changes or additions? Seeing none, all those in favor of approving the regular board meeting minutes as submitted signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? The regular board meeting minutes for April 3rd are passed. At this time, I will turn the meeting over to our board clerk, Pamela.
According to our unofficial Canvas results, we had out of 6,320 votes, we had 1,904 vote, which was 30.12% of our votes. We had a total of 749 for Rosemary Hickey, 1,043 for Caroline McDonald, and 1,281 for Chanel Lake. We also had 8 write-ins, 12 overvotes, and 715 undervotes, which overvotes are they voted for too many, and under is they didn't vote for 2, they voted for perhaps 1, which didn't disqualify them. And then, so you can see the results there, and we will be electing Shannon Bojorquez as election by acclamation tonight. Ms. Carolyn Hall is here to swear in the trustees, but first you need to see if you approve the accounts as described in front of you.
Pamela, do you have any specific language for us to approve them?
Just a motion to accept the accounts.
At this time, trustees, I would accept a motion to approve the canvas as submitted.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Do we have any comments from the public? Do we have any further discussion from the board? Seeing none, all those in favor of approving the canvas as submitted signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? The canvas is approved.
Thank you. Would you like to do all 3 at once?
We can.
Okay. Shannon and Chanel and Caroline, will you please stand? Do you need this? Or you have a motion? Okay.
I'm not going to swear at you. Are you all able to swear tonight? Is that okay for you all? I do solemnly swear that I will support, protect, and defend the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of Montana, and that I will discharge the duties of my office with fidelity, so help me God. Okay. Congratulations. Thank you so much. And you'll have a form over here for you to sign. And I'll sign at the end of it.
Hey, Rick, do you know what's the password? Well, for some reason, lost it.
What's the password to the internet?
The gas, just the gas one.
We don't have a password to it. I need to log, I would need to go get one.
You just log in.
Your email login, if you use BYOD, should work.
Which network?
BYOD.
I heard the same thing.
Come on, guys.
Just say not a great spell.
You need to go back to chili down dust. Dust, not buff.
I just looked at
So they start out kind of like talking about the situation, and like a normal about it, and the guy who's writing the letters is really.
That has been around in a while.
That's
Certified a lot of people.
Yeah, but then I don't know what happens with this one right now. It's like somebody, Thomas Edison had it in his office.
Might have been.
It might have been.
Gatsby or.
I don't think he was alive in the 30s.
It's kind of steampunky.
No, but I asked them,
I
and
think
they
it's-
said no,
it's-
does anybody work on something else?
Shelley, you or Tammy, you guys
But
ready?
they said when
They are, we are so ready.
You are.
So ready. We're just ready.
What ends of
Well, Wesley thought those last 3 days, but.
So at this time, we need to reorganize. And so I will ask for any nominations for chair at this time. Are there any nominations for chairman of the board?
I will nominate Carolyn.
I will second.
Carolyn.
Are there any other nominations for board chair?
I'll nominate Schnellick.
Are you joking?
Are there any other nominations for board chair? Okay. At this time, I am going to ask you to vote as per your right hand. And with show of hands for vote for, oh,
We have a question.
Is there any chance of tabling this until we have a full board? Does this have to be done?
This has to be done within 15 days of the election day. So it could be tabled if you so choose, but then it would, we'd need to have a special meeting before the 17th.
Just a question.
Any other?
I have trouble making these.
Any other questions or discussion? At this time, I would like to see votes for Caroline McDonald as chair. Show of your right hand, please. Okay. At this time, I would like to see votes for Chanel Lake as board chair with your right hand. Right hand. So at this time, I would like to say congratulations, Chair McDonald.
Thank you very much. And do I take over at this point?
You do.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. With that, I would like to ask the trustees if we can have nominations for vice chair.
I'll nominate Janelle.
And do I have a second?
I will second.
Okay, do we have any other nominations? Okay, we have one nomination. Do we just go ahead and vote, or okay? All those in favor of Chanel Lake for continuing as vice chair signify by saying aye, or raise your right hand, because that's what we did.
Yeah.
It is unanimous. Way to go. Congratulations, Chanel. Getting these ghost nominations. Okay, moving right along. We need to appoint our board clerk. I always forget the procedure for doing this. Pamela, of course we want you to continue as board clerk. What is the procedure for doing that?
Just ask for a motion to appoint me for the next year.
Got it. I would like to suggest that we continue with Pamela Cleary as our board clerk. I would entertain a motion to do so at this time.
I'll make the motion to continue with Pamela Cleary.
And we have a second here. We have a motion and a second. Do we have any comments or debate?
May I ask who the second one?
I will speak.
Okay.
And do we have any public comment? Seeing none, all those in favor of continuing with Pamela Cleary as our excellent board clerk, signify by saying aye and raising your right hand. We'll just keep that consistent for this. Okay. It is unanimously done.
So Caroline is available to swear me into Caroline, sorry.
Oh, okay.
We'll go back and do it again. I do solemnly swear
I do solemnly swear
that I will support, protect, and defend
that I will support, protect, and defend
the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Montana,
and the Constitution of the State of Montana,
and that I will discharge the duties
and I will discharge the duties
of my office
of my office
with fidelity.
with fidelity.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Thank you. You've done an excellent job.
Can we go ahead or
I do need a signature from those present, but we can talk about it.
as we do not have Sophia Sisler in attendance, we will skip the update from the high school representative. Given the busy time of year, I'm sure she has an excellent excuse for not being here this evening.
We were just saying.
It's probably one of 10 things she is juggling this evening. Okay. Let's see. Should we go ahead and reorganize this and move to number 12 so that we can have the folks from St. Joseph?
Let's do that.
Okay, so let's move to the Polson High School Hospital Internship Program presentation. Number 12.
Sure. Well, I appreciate Madam Chair, Superintendent Wells, the opportunity to come here this evening. Perhaps it's common across all industries, but healthcare is seeing a national workforce shortage. It was predicted at least 15 years plus ago, even with physicians, they predicted by 2015, a shortage of 225,000 physicians across the country, and we've seen that come to fruition. And even greater with the workforce shortage. A lot of it is demographics. We have an aging demographic with those of us that are baby boomers, and we haven't taken good care of ourselves. So there's a lot of a high need for health care and not a lot of the younger generation to care for us. So it's in all of our best interests that we find ways to shore that up. And at least here, we've had, with the natural beauty, we're differentiated. So we've been able to attract talent when other organizations and communities have not. But even that being said, we felt it was imperative that we find a way to grow our own and find a way to keep kids in our community as they become adults. So I think there was some ideas. We had looked at other states. Ben Murray was our clinic administrator. He'd worked with Shelley and made contacts with the school district. And I think Superintendent Welch was thinking along the same lines of a work-based program. And as I know it, I think we've gotten accolades. We've spoken at the state level. Governor Bullock has come here to observe the program, looking at it as a model across the state. In fact, today there was a person from the Office of Public Instruction and was very complimentary that it's the only integrated program in the state. And I asked earlier Tammy and Shelley what that meant, that they actually are in the hospital. You know, Big Sky in Missoula had touted a program. I didn't know that you could even have a program if it isn't integrated into the hospital. I don't know how successful a program like that could be. So growing our own, but I think I've often stated that of all the public relation efforts we could have in terms of advertising and promoting ourselves, these kids are talking to their friends, their families, and we're being recognized for the good that we bring, and more so than we could ever told someone, even a patient's experience. And so we are very grateful for this public-private partnership. It's been a big success, and hope that it can continue it for many years. Shelley and Tammy have really carried it. I'm sort of a figurehead at best. So.
I'm not going to follow that up. But the only thing that I would add is that he is just so supportive of our students. We interview at we actually did our interviews last week. Students have to apply. They have kind of a big application process. We had, I don't know, 8 to 10 hospital administrators at their interviews last week, and so the applicants are ready to go for next year. They've all accepted. And I think that he just is so supportive of this program. So in the fall, we do another thing. The HR person, Nikki from the hospital, goes through the the interns with resume advice and letter advice and things like that, and then they meet in small groups. But they don't meet in small groups with their peers. They meet in small groups with, with Mr. Kaiser and other administrators from the hospital and work on their interview skills. So just their complete integration of us into their hospital has been amazing. I had other things I was going to say, but not now.
We'd consider having students come and share their experience, and we can certainly arrange that. And I think you'll be wowed by, and we've seen them over the course of time mature over the course of their year. And not only does it help them, there are so many other career choices besides healthcare. We had one student at Career Day said they weren't going into healthcare because of the 3 Ps. And of course we asked what the 3 Ps were, and they said poop, pee, and puke. And I'd like to think healthcare is much more than that. Even we had one intern this year that realized this isn't what she wants to do. She wants to go into veterinary medicine. Very mature, interacts very well with young adults. And I think that's a benefit too, because we really work hard to hire for fit, and we really want this to be a calling. And so we believe strongly that that's the case. And obviously Shelley and Tammy carry it. With a dozen kids, if Tammy wasn't there monitoring, we'd be very challenged to sustain this program. It is challenging for our staff, our directors, our staff, but particularly our medical staff. We also have roughly 7 medical students that will be rotating through this summer. And so having someone to help us manage that, it affects our efficiency and our productivity, but we know it will come back to us in time. And it's been a huge win, I hope, for both. So we appreciate it very much.
Any questions, trustees? Tammy, I'm hoping, I know it's very, very early in the process still, I'm hoping maybe over the next few years we can maybe get some follow-up surveys with some of the graduates from this program, kind of their look back and the kinds of, maybe what it gave them now that they've had the opportunity to go into college and that what was really useful for them.
Sure.
I have a feeling it's much, much more than just the specifics of healthcare. It's that opportunity to be in a professional environment and that kind of thing. We talk a lot here as trustees as well as in the district about the need to offer innovative, flexible environments that are going to prepare our kids for jobs that aren't even invented yet.
Right.
And this is one of those opportunities that we want to continue to capitalize on. So we're just grateful that you've given us this chance and our kids this chance. And we think this is wonderful, and we're so happy you're willing to continue this partnership.
If I might add, tag on to that, I think it's important to note that we have an organization such as yours that's willing to take a risk.
Mm-hmm.
I talk with other organizations, and that's not normal. That's not normal for a liability of having students come into the organization, and it could go both ways. And so I appreciate the ability to take a risk, be, if you want to say the proverbial out-of-the-box thinker, but it really is what's best for students is to get them into the program in the setting. It's real easy to say no, but my point is, let's not say how we can't do it, let's figure out how we can. And you've embraced that same thought process with our students. It's scary, and I know your organization had some growing pains, like what are we going to do with all these kids? And now I would think that probably brings a level of energy they didn't see coming. So we appreciate the willingness to kind of stick your leg out, if not neck.
The opportunity working upstream, I had a board member once say that the community doesn't take pride in their education, their schools, and their healthcare delivery system. That community has no pride. So it's a great relationship. It's amazing how similar our industries actually are. Jack Mudd, the former dean of the University of Montana Law School program, Superintendent Welts now sits on our board, and we were at a board orientation in Seattle. And I think I can say this, both my parents were educators, and he said, I don't know who has a more difficult job, myself or Superintendent Welts. And I said, I have to deal with angry physicians, he has to deal with angry parents. So that's one of the difficult jobs. Thanks again for the opportunity.
Thank you so much. Okay, let's back up and we'll just do this in reverse. And since we have other guests, let's do number 11, Polson Scholarship and Education Foundation. With Becky Queen here.
Yep,
Now that they're gone, I wanted to tell you that my daughter was in that program, and so she's at Montana Tech this year, finished her first year studying molecular biology, and she loved the lab work during her time at the hospital, and the hospital staff helped her decide that molecular biology was a good place to go, and now she spent the last 9 months working in the research lab there, and I tell you, they are doing amazing stuff. I mean, they are doing genetic splicing, and she's growing liver cells, and I mean, it's incredible. It's just, and I don't really think she would have gone that direction had she not been through
That exposure.
So, yeah.
Cool.
I'm very thankful for that, because I think we might actually get somebody graduated in a decent number of years. 23 different changes to our majors. Yeah. So, okay. So I have, I think, 5 things to give away. The first one, is there anybody here from the first grade, Pam McCrum or Joyce Crosby?
I could represent.
Okay. I actually brought certificates and everything today. Well, so their request was for 2 growing walls and materials. And I'll show you a picture, but they want the kids to do some gardening. So what they are is vertical growing walls, and I think they're going to grow some strawberries and I don't know what else, but stuff so they can learn about planting, caring for them, and then some things that they'll actually be able to harvest and enjoy eating. So cool. So that one was good. Second one is Janella Finkbinder. All right, okay. Her request was for 2 family literacy nights. One in the fall, bingo for books, and one in the spring, Camp Read a Lot. Janella, do you mind telling us what those 2 things consist of?
Sure. The bingo for books is a pretty self-explanatory one. My goal is to get the families in with their kids, play bingo, and their prizes will be books. One of my big goals is to get books in those kids' hands and in their homes, and so that will be the fall event. The spring event will be Camp Read a Lot, which will be another way for me to get books in their hands, but also to give them some really hands-on experiences with literature. Basically, we're gonna, have listening stories around the campfire, reading with flashlights, have tents set up, just a real family-friendly, fun activity. And hopefully my goal is that every kid leaves with at least one book and prizes of many others, hopefully with the generous donation from you guys. So thank you.
Thank you for your effort.
And then the next one, Kat Danley's here in Between Adventures. This one was for the 11th grade AP US History and AP Literature field trip. And would you guys like to tell us about that a little bit?
Point fingers.
Yeah.
We plan, part of teaching just in a classroom is that the kids, we do our best to help the kids make connections to experiences, but it's a lot better if you can actually go somewhere and have a real life experience. So we plan to take the students to the Stonehenge Air Museum, which is south of Eureka, where there is a large collection of World War II aircraft and apparently a full-size scale model of Stonehenge that you can only visit if it's not raining. So hope for sunshine for us. We can check this thing out. And then we plan on stopping on the way back. We're going to go to the Conrad Mansion in Kalispell to help form some local connections to a period of history that we spend a lot of time in class talking about, but that the students might not have very much direct connection to, the Gilded Age. And between the museum, the Stonehenge Museum and the Conrad Mansion, we're going to stop and finish reading A River Runs Through It together as a class, alongside the Tobacco River for a really enjoyable reading experience together. I think we bond a lot with those kids, and that would be a nice way to kind of close the year.
Do you need any chaperones?
Thank you.
Just on a quick note while you're getting this next one ready, I'll plug these 2. We just finished our AP testing for this year, or going to real soon, but last year, 1 year ago, I believe you had 13 AP students.
No, we had
more. We had, if I remember correctly, it was 100% pass rate, which is incredible.
Yeah.
Since it's so, they team up, they work together, they teach similar classes, and they back them up period to period, and they work hand in hand, so they collaborate, and the result is that they've every one of their kids passed the AP exam last year, which is a feat in itself. So congratulations to both of you.
And the next one came from Steve Davey from the 7th and 8th grade Industrial Technology Program for a 3D printer and supplies.
Thank you very much for that gift. I'll tell you what, $1,000 we're going to be able to buy a 3D printer, which is like a little easy bake oven. And you're going to get some weed eater line, and I'll tell you, it goes back and forth. It's such neat things we do. We're doing keychains. We've seen some little 4-wheeler parts and so on. We can actually create and craft our own parts in case we were a manufacturing business and we needed one right now that we couldn't get in time. It's going to work great in our power and transportation unit. All the kids will get to use that. Our construction technology. We're going to get a chance to use some basic elementary CAD software that will get us to do that and take us and just right into high school. Those kids will just fit right in a lot better with them. They have one at the high school right now, so it's really a nice fit for them too. Appreciate that.
And the last one is, I like the name of this one, Bug Eyes. Is Katie Lindsay? Is that right? Lindsay? L-I-N-S-E? She's in charge. So this is a virtual reality through Google. And the grant is for $375, and it's to buy the cardboard glasses. I'm not quite sure how it works, but they seem to download an app on their phone, and then I think Kaylee must teach. Does she teach history?
Yeah, social studies
Social
and creative
studies,
writing
right,
for
okay.
6th grade. She was homesick today, that's why
Oh,
she
okay,
had-
that's okay, no worries. So what it allows the kids to do is virtually travel to mostly other places in the world. So they can go to Rome and see what the center of Rome looks like. They can go to Yellowstone Park and feel and see kind of what it's like there. So I think that's gonna be, the kids are gonna really enjoy that, so. And that's, yeah, how do I come back to school?
Things are changing.
Yeah.
For easy way.
Yeah, for easy, here we go. So, anyway, hopefully we're gonna have some more money to give away next year too, I hope. We're working on that, and thank you for letting us present here.
Thank you so much. I think Becky Okay, continuing in our reverse direction, that means Superintendent Wells, you are up for the superintendent's report.
Great, there's, started out last, just some quick updates, 2 weeks ago now, we had a wind event, and if you hadn't noticed, there was some landscaping that was done at Cherry Valley. And that was about a 100-year-old tree that decided that no longer wanted to live there. Doug watched that unfold, literally. And as bad as it looked, it was somewhat slow motion. But do note that it really is one of the reasons why at the high school we started pulling some trees out around, is that one, it obscures the cameras and looking in the high school in the parking lot, but it also, there is some concern with those larger trees. Their root system is pretty shallow. I think with an exceptionally wet spring and that microburst that hit right there, it did just about go into Pamela Crumb's classroom, and I think all the kids were starting to just get excited about what was going on, and Pam thought she was on fire teaching, and it was really a tree falling down behind her. So that is, and thanks to Dan, his crew got in there, secured it, made sure there was nothing, no feet hanging out the bottom of it, and chopped it and got it removed, but there's still a couple more there that we may want to look at. Well, we have the high school, and on a side note, I'm glad to see high school get a couple of these grants. I know we had pretty heavy in the elementary district, and so it's nice to see it moved up through the ranks as well. So recognition, US News, again, a couple of weeks ago, produced our top 10 high schools in the state. Traditionally, we're right in the middle of that, and this year again, number 10 in the state. Gardner took the first spot, and it's based on your ACT scores and AP, again with AP teachers sitting here. So your AP exam, your career and technical course offerings, and your ACT, which are the three determining factors on what is selected as the top 10 or top high school in our state. Gardner, and then we are sitting at 10. Two other A schools ahead of us was Stevie and Corvallis, and so we're third in the state for Class A. We want to recognize Special Olympics. We had the regionals in Frenchtown in April, and one of the things, and I'll invite you right now, May 17th, 18th, and 19th, if you get a chance to get to Special Olympics at the state event, it's moving. It's one of the things that's on the bucket list for you, and you do have an open invite. And so if you want to go to that, if you want to go down and just look and watch, let me know, because I have Mr. Berg will send you tickets and information, but that'll take place on this at the University of Montana campus. Also in recognition, we have two coaches that will be inducted to the Montana Coach Hall of Fame. That takes place in the late summer, I believe, in Great Falls. Larry Smith with softball and Bob Hislop with tennis, and both of those will be introduced this late summer. And I also believe that Bob, or Robert Hislop, is also an inductee for the National Coach of the Year as well. And so we'll keep our ears and eyes on that one. I'll skip this retail one right now. Teacher Appreciation Day, it's recognized tomorrow by PTA, and that's really what I will recognize it as. It's a lot like our birthdays in my household. It usually lasts a couple of weeks long. And so I know that we celebrated last week at Linderman, and they had a lot going on. I know Ms. Wilson did a luncheon that we normally do at the high school. But really, tomorrow, May 9th, is recognized as PTA, as National Teacher Appreciation Week Day. So it'll take place tomorrow. We do have some trays going around to to all the schools from the district office in appreciation of what you do as well. So we also have a student that was recognized on a state level. So Marita Growing Thunder was recognized by the Montana Indian Education Association, and that was 2 weeks ago as well. And her efforts and what she's promoted throughout this entire year. I know that Mr. Wilson had spoke to her today, or yesterday, Friday, was not able to attend, but Mr. Wilson, will you hand this and let Marita know that we appreciate her work and what she's done in this last year? Do you want to talk a little bit about what's taking place at the high school and what she's carried on? I mean, I don't know if our board fully knows the regatta and what she's done throughout the year.
So Marita, for a project for the year, took it upon herself to wear a hand-sewn traditional regalia, different traditional regalia each day for representation for the missing and murdered Indigenous women across the mostly North America, and she has been very successful. She's actually been a speaker at a lot of events about her project and the research that she's done. Over spring break, she did a walk across the reservation for the same project, and then her most recent was her being elected as the Student of the Year by the Montana Education Association. So quite an honor for her, and quite an honor for her to take that upon herself her senior year with all the other things that she's very active in our music program and scholarships and school and all the things that all seniors have to do. So, yeah.
Legislation. Mr. McGinnis is not here, but I will tell you the three that are on the hot button. In fact, we as in three superintendents in the valley went and spoke to pachyderms on Friday, and actually 4 superintendents, because Ms. Hall was with us as well. So what's important to note is 307, which was the permissive levy, did pass. 376, which was the infrastructure bill, which included the quality schools grant, failed. And 319, which is Governor Bullock passed, which is the bill that allows Native Americans to wear regalia, cultural importance at graduation. And so I know that quickly on that one, Mr. Wilson has been working diligently finding out what that looks like. What does that bill mean? Because it really it come across with not a lot of structure. It just said we can allow that, we must allow that, but what does that look like? And so Mr. Wilson was at the IEC meeting, parent meeting last week, and trying to make sure that we are doing what's best to support that, but also not to offend by allowing anything that would offend the culture as well. And so there's some real growing concerns of what this is going to look like, and so I know Mr. Wilson's working on that now. 376, and I think what's important to know there is that was the infrastructure bill and quality schools. So we lost, or we didn't get funded the 1.2 million that we were asking for. We would have had to put 200,000 into it. So I do have, prior to this going south or not being funded, I had Amerisco come in and start looking at some other options. And so maybe it's not a boiler, maybe it's heat pumps, but we're trying to get a plan B as we roll right now. The last few here, Fergus County, Lewistown High School came into to Folsom High School and really wanted to know more about our programs and what's going on. The word is out that there's some good things going on at the high school, and so they came out to witness the LINK program and also the CoreFlex system, where they're the integrated systems of support. Polson Middle School roof project. There's a lot going on with that as well. We had bid openings last week. We had 3 qualified bids that came in. We opened. Our consultant, actually Paradigm's consultant, very good roof construction manager, is a consultant with them. He predicted it was going to be roughly $640,000 is what we thought it was going to be. Our bids came in, our low bid was $565,000, so it was under what the proposed bid we thought was going to be. Summit Roofing out of Missoula will be the low bid, and they're doing a lot of work in Missoula County Public Schools right now. They're doing a lot of work with the same membrane that we chose to use on the Polson Middle School roof, and so we're excited to have them. It was a win for us, and so at this point we are working a contract with Summit Paradigm, and so that we can have legal look at it in our insurance company, so that we can bring it to the board for approval. So that's the steps. We do need to get on that soon, and so I foresee in the near future a special board meeting so we can approve that contract, so we can get going, so we're not pushed into the snow. It really looks like it's going to be a 2-year process, just the way it was written up. They're not going to be able to get it done. They can't get started until mid-July, and so we don't feel like that's going to be an issue. And actually, it helped our price because we're able to do that. So there's contingency factors along those lines. Graduation, we will. I know that our student rep was going to tell you about the graduation, but know that board is invited, and so I'll have Tony send out an invite to see how many people can attend graduation. So look for that. Last 2 things on the other is Cherry Valley had a art night. It was Thursday night. It was beautiful out. There was over 300 parents that attended. Correct, Rhonda? That was well attended. And I have some pictures I'll hand out to you a little bit. I went over and took photos for you in case you couldn't be there. It was well done. So congratulations, Rhonda. And also speaking of art, I think it's noted, Mr. Finkbeiner, will you make sure that Miss Lott is noticed that she comes in once a month and makes sure that this is different for us. It's not the same. And so she does a lot of work in here trying to change up the scene. Remember when we first started, it was pretty sterile. It was white. And so she has taken it upon herself to decorate this with her kids' work. And so I appreciate her, and make sure that you let her know that we appreciate it.
All right, done that already.
Thank you. There you go.
Okay. Trustees, any questions for Superintendent Waltz? I have one question on middle school work.
Yes.
How are we paying for that?
Building reserve funds.
Okay, so we don't need to take that loan?
No, so we will not need to. We're going to. That's part of the contract. We're building these a payment schedule that we will not need to go up in there. Yeah, that we can do that within. Which is the great thing about being under bid is that, remember, elementary building reserve fund, the levy that we passed was $245,000 a year. And so we're going to have that for 5 years, and so we're going to be able to meet our expectations, and we're going to make sure the contract spells out what that looks like, so we don't have to go out for a loan. Yeah.
But that may be a possibility now that we did get the Quality Schools grant.
Yes, it could be a possibility, yeah. Yeah.
But obviously nothing's been decided yet, but.
Yeah, the 307, that 307, $15,000 a district plus $100 a head, that is not, as I spoke to the pachyderm, that's not going to fix our Cherry Valley
Right.
at $1 million, $109,000, it's not going to do it.
Any other questions? Yes, Steve.
Rayner, Growing Thunder. I've heard some feedback from people. She's beginning picked on kind of thing. So, I know she's got a lightning rod in some respects to some students, so I just want to know what's going on with that.
Well, I think we could, at this time, we can address that, that's first time I know there were some things earlier this fall, but I haven't heard anything since then, so I think in all fairness, we can get back to you, or we can set up a meeting with Scott so we can figure out what that looks like.
I just had some calls.
Yeah.
Any other questions, comments? Okay, great. Thank you, Rex. Let's see, let's get back on schedule number 13, professional service component update. Ms. Crosby.
Okay. This is something that I just did some research with our teachers. We've been working with the professional PPAS system, professional service, for about 2 years now. So part of the professional growth that each of the teachers do is that they make a plan and they implement a plan. But the other part of that, which we haven't talked about much, is the professional service component as well. So along with doing the professional advancement plan, you also have to commit to so many hours of professional service. So one of the things that I did just recently was I just collected from our building representatives all the things that have been done over the last 2 years. And so that's what the spreadsheet is, and this is actually in your packet, so I don't know if you've had a chance to look at that. I'll pass some, if anybody didn't get one or haven't had access to one, I'll pass some of those around too. I just thought it was an interesting collection just to kind of reflect on the different elements that are in there. Let me just keep one here. Some of the things that have been done over the last 2 years. Some of the things that people have actually been done for years and years and years. They're nothing new. A great example of that is our ski club. Folsom Ski Club actually started in 1950. I don't know if you guys know that, but it's probably one of the oldest organizations we have. And that's something that is just kind of regenerated this year. And so we have people that are going up every Saturday and acting as chaperones. We have people that check out gear, things like that. But I just wanted to point out some of the things. A lot of things are things that have been done before, and they're just kind of continuation of those things. But we've also had a lot of new things that have appeared. Things like after-school art projects, after-school cooking clubs, after-school program tutoring. Things like, an example of one you probably don't even know even happened, help serving summer lunch. One of the teachers decided that they really wanted to keep connections with the kids. So what they did is they went over to Cherry Valley, I don't know if it was 1 day a week or 2 days a week, during lunchtime, and just helped those kids with their lunches during the summer program. So that was a totally out of the box, totally new, but that fulfilled their service component hours. The service hours are dependent on how many years of where you are on the ladder structure in our pay system. It might be 10 hours a year, it might be 15 hours a year. It goes up from there. So these are some of the things that have been done. Some of the new things that we've got, things like basketball camps. Some of the things that are in here also used to be, all of these things occur outside of the teacher's daily 8 to 4 kind of time. So some of the things are done before school, some of the things are done after school. Some of the things that are actually on here, the things that the teachers have to do after school, like IEP meetings or maybe book studies, and then they were also turning in extra hours for that. So some of that is actually being curtailed as well. So instead of actually charging extra hours, people have actually done them as part of their professional service projects. So I just wanted to share this with you. I didn't do that initially. It was mainly just to give this back to the teachers so they had a menu. Because a lot of the teachers say, hey, I've got to do these 15 hours, what am I going to do? Well, guess what? We've got a lot to choose from here. A lot of supervisory kinds of things, a lot of helping with testing, things like that. We've got our watchdog programs. We've seen an increase of things like math nights, the one that Janella was talking about for next year, the literacy nights, those kinds of things. We've done them before, but this is just done a little bit differently. For example, the math nights this year, we've done math nights before, but by doing them with professional service hours, you actually have the person as being the lead in that. and taking the lead and encompassing other people in it as well. So just wanted to share the information with you, and I think it's working very well. I don't know if you had any questions about anything specifically. At the moment, the way the professional service hours are accepted are that we've kept a fairly tight rein definition of what professional service is. So these are service hours that provide services to our school district students primarily. We haven't included things like helping with Boy Scouts, for example, or Girl Guides, things like that. That's somewhere where we might want to go in the future. But at the moment, these are all fairly well tightly with the students that we have in our own district. So, any questions?
Trustees?
Yes. So this is just for faculty?
This is just for the certified staff, the teachers.
Okay, so I know some principals and stuff in here.
As in?
Well, we got Bill Apple, well, not.
Oh, as far as contact people?
Carl Elliott.
Yeah, sure. So these are things like, for example, the policy committee. The policy committee, which is one that you're familiar with, is coordinated by Carl. So the idea is the contact person would be, if I'm interested in serving in on that committee, this is the person I need to go talk to. So they're not providing the service, they're being paid to run that particular thing. So yeah, that's.
Thank you.
Any other queries or questions? Thank you.
Thank you. Number 14, board committee updates. And just a reminder, even though we don't always have updates from every committee, we like to leave these on here so everyone knows who to contact in case they want to contact someone on the committee about an issue. So facilities committee, Alan Anderson is here. Shane, do you have anything? Okay. And Rex did go over some of those current facilities issues. Policy committee. You guys might have some things coming up.
Yeah,
Carl?
we would like to schedule a meeting for next week, though, if you're available. I don't know if you saw the invite from Mr. Welts.
I didn't send it, we'll send it.
Okay.
See if it works with them first.
Okay.
Yep. We're on the line.
We have at least 2, possibly 3 policies that.
4 p.m. to work. 4 p.m. Work.
Ad hoc budget committee, now that the legislative session is over, I imagine we'll be scheduling something soon, so everybody keep your eyes peeled for that. Negotiations committee, again, since the legislative session is now closed, we will be reaching out to both unions to start scheduling that process. So that'll be ramping up pretty soon. Rex went over the issues regarding the legislative session since Tim is not here. Transportation committee does not meet again until July. And I believe the superintendent evaluation committee, you guys are going to be. We're going to.
Sorry about that.
Oh, okay, that's okay.
I was gonna say June because I was giving into get all the end of the year stuff, but May 18th is great.
That's out on my calendar, I'll send an invite to you tomorrow.
All right, so those are your committee updates. Moving right along. Number 15, budget update. Ms. Clary.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Yeah, along with everything else that's wrapping up in the spring, or ramping, or wrapping, I'm not sure. Spring ordering and getting those in totals wrapped up so we can see where we get in for our budget reserves. A lot of going on, watching the Senate bills and what was passing and what was not. Getting numbers to what that prediction looks like. And I guess we'll start really nailing that down now that we know what we're looking at. May and June payrolls will wrap up the fiscal year. May will wrap up most of the ordering and the staff and stipends, and then in June. So looking at our claims for the month, I did remember to include the listing of the BMO, the credit card, so I didn't know if anybody had any questions on that. And then just listing those higher items. Deb has still been working hard at getting us some refund dollars on the BMO card, and that's when we see that 99,000, she's able to pay some of those bills by the card, so some of those dollars that we spend every month can rack us up some points to maybe get a refund. Does anybody have any questions on the claims listing or the?
I do have a question.
Sure.
So why are we paying for porta potties when we have bathroom facilities around?
I think that they're placed at some of the fields that we have students at.
There's bathroom facilities by the field.
There's the one porta potty that we have, I know that we've used in the past is on the back side of the track, over by the jump pit. So it's one that we've used, and we've used it for, I think it's been there for 4 or 5 years. We can certainly look at reducing the number of them.
Just checking there. Over by the tennis courts, there's 2 over there. By the tennis courts.
Yeah,
I just noticed that I was going, why do we have porta potties?
There was, if I may, there was one at tennis court, and we had that pulled out. That is gone, the one that we were at. The other 2 are for the soccer. Soccer is taking care of those. We shouldn't be paying for those. To my knowledge, it should be the youth soccer program, as far as I know.
Oh, okay.
Because we did not call those in. And the one that we, our softball, okay. And then the ones at the softball, those are gone all as well, are they?
Yeah.
Right, okay. Along with ours that we had down there for winterization, so that they could use the bathroom until we got the building unwinterized. So, thank you.
Any other questions? Cal, any other information regarding the budget update?
No, unless there's any other questions. My little colorful sheet every month, and it explains itself. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. If there are no further questions from the trustees, I'll move on to the consent agenda. All right. Are there any items currently listed on the consent agenda that need to be removed for individual consideration? Seeing none, at this time, I would entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda as submitted. We have a motion and a second. All those in favor of approving the consent agenda as submitted signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? The consent agenda is passed. Okay, moving on to new business. Number 17, recommendation to change January 15th, 2018 PIR Day. Superintendent Wells.
On January 15th was our regular scheduled PIR Day. We are working with a gentleman by the name of Pete Hall. The elementary principals were able or privileged to see him, listen to him, and collaborate with him at their fall conference. Dynamic individual, really about reflective practices, building trust within teachers and admin and walkthroughs. Seems like a guy that we would want to work with not only our admin team, but also with our staff. And it's about reflecting on who we are as an organization and as an individual, and how can we be better. So that long story to shorten this is that he can't be here on the 15th, but his schedule does allow that to be the 26th. And so I'm asking that we change our PIR date from the 15th to the 26th. He will be here also the 29th of August to work with us to start the school year, and we'll bring him back one more time for that PIR day.
Just a question. That is Martin Luther King Day. Does that matter?
No, we discussed that, and we don't believe it matters.
At this time, I would entertain a motion to approve the requested change. Second. I have a motion and a second. Do we have any further discussion or questions? Do we have any comment from the public?
He's amazing.
Okay. He's amazing. We need this change.
We do.
He really is.
Okay, observing no further comment, all those in favor of approving the requested change signify by saying aye.
Okay.
All those opposed? The requested change is passed. Number 18, recommendation to approve the Montana High School Association dues and fees. Mr. J. France.
I can speak on that.
I was like, where did he go? I'm looking, and
Again, our annual dues, I look back and this is what we do every year at this time. However, there's a slight increase in, I think it's the concussion insurance premiums going up a little bit. Again, pretty standard protocol for us, Montana High School Association dues across the state. You can see the cost of those. And then Mr. Krantz also submitted some reading there as well.
Trustees, at this time, I would accept a motion to approve the Montana High School Association dues and fees. Second. We have a motion and second. Do we have any questions or further comment? Do we have any discussion from the public? Seeing none, all those in favor of approving the Montana High School Association dues and fees signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? The recommendation is passed. Number 19, recommendation to approve health insurance proposal. Ms. Barry.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I see that the insurance committee president is here, so let's speak on it.
I'm assuming you put something in their packet so they have some idea what's going on.
Yes,
We put insurance out for bid again and received a number of offers. Rob Turner was diligent in keeping the lash to those people and getting some information back from him. The last proposal we looked at, there was the one we chose to accept from Pacific Sources provider network. It's a little bit different plan than their standard plan, and it does require that you do stuff within the provider network. We weren't too concerned about that. Every medical facility and physician up and down the valley, and basically the entire western half of Montana, are all part of that provider network. There's one hospital in the state over in Billings that is not part of the network. So I really don't think that's going to impact people's choice of care providers very much, if at all. So people are going to need to be probably a little bit more diligent about making sure to pre-authorize planned procedures and things like that, colonoscopies and everything. Call your insurance carrier and check. Just make sure you're doing the right thing, everything in network. It still wasn't still wasn't a pleasant. It's not a pleasant increase in premiums, but it was. I think the best we could do. There was. In the interest of full disclosure, I guess there was one other offer from Allegiance somewhere that was very, very low. It was a very low increase, but there was an asterisk. I guess it was the. We'll tell you right now that we think it's going to be like 1%, but the asterisk is we want to see your April claims data before we finalize the offer. So it was the bait and switch.
Yeah.
So Rob strongly cautioned us away from that. He said, you know, you could go with this offer and tell Allegiance you want to do this, and then they'll come back with 10% next month. So it wasn't a hard, solid offer, so we did not think it was prudent to go with that. So the insurance committee unanimously voted to recommend to the board that we go with Pacific Sources Smart Network.
Smart
So.
A couple of others on that. We had it as high as 35% and 1%. Rob always advises us, as of last year, you know, you can plan on budgeting 10% increase. That's normally what it is. And so when Mr. McKee says it wasn't a fun increase, no increase is what we would like. However, remember last year we went to 20 and 22, and so you know. 6% is easier to swallow than the 22, but we wish it would be, wish it went down -3. But so 6% was 6.9 was it was easier, and I was thankful it wasn't as what we said, because we did. I know that our broker worked this over pretty hard and started at about 12, and he's got it down to 6.9. So he worked pretty hard, and he took some money out of his own coffers to make that work. So. He did want to help himself.
And one of the ways we did that was to take the 6 plans that we had last year and reduce it to 3, so that it reduces the administration cost.
Smart Health Network, and you made the comment that it needed to be local places here, or what was that comment? So will they take into certain circumstances if somebody needed to be life-flighted to Seattle or was sick and maybe needed to seek some medical care out of the state? How does that?
Yeah, it's, you're
The
probably.
reason I'm asking is because we dealt with this on a different level, and one of our employees was life-flighted to Seattle and it was not covered because we were under a policy similar to this. So my concern is that, I mean, I'm fine with that. I'm just asking.
I'm not gonna promise you that all of those things that we covered. You're always, when you go with an open source plan where you can go to whatever provider you want, to something where you're gonna be confined to working within a provider network, you're always gonna run that risk. All I can tell you is that the alternative to staying with an open plan was 16%. Was a 16% increase. So by saying we will, work within the provider network, we save a tremendous amount of money. And I know that's, we made that decision knowing that it's probably going to cause some heartache down the road.
And then my other question to the other side of that is that are we liable as a board if that was to happen to somebody? Like if we're not liable in any way, are we? Okay.
In that instance, it's difficult because you can't pre-authorize. There are options for us to go out and pre-authorize. If I know that I need a new spleen, I can run out to Seattle, we have to pre-authorize it and we'll get it covered. But it's that acute care that we're not planning for. That's the one that could potentially, and I'll bring it up with Rob again, just to find out where we're at, but we noted if we were going to get ourselves into a provider network, we're going to lower the cost, but there are also some stipulations with it.
The other thing about Pacific Source too is that they have a pretty good representation across the Northwest. So it's, Washington, Oregon, that area, so it's pretty good coverage.
Like James mentioned, just the one hospital in Billings is not part of the network that we know of.
Question. Didn't you guys have Pacific Source this past year as well?
Yes.
Does any of the same account numbers or your guys' stuff roll over? Or does every year we have to start fresh? Because to me...
No, I suspect you're going to get new cards and new account numbers this year because we're going to the smart network. I don't think there's a requirement that you have to get new ones every year. If you're staying with the same plans and same administration and everything every year, you probably get to keep the same card. We've been jumping back and forth from plan to plan and company to company, always trying to find the best deal we can find for the employees of the district. And we can't come in here and recommend that we face a 12% increase when we could get a 6% increase. It's a tough sell.
Yeah, the other selling point of that was that Rob had mentioned that Pacific Source that we have now negotiates certain rates with different organizations. The provider network supposedly has negotiated better rates. So when you bid deductibles, the insurance says, no, we're going to pay this amount. And that with this new one, Rob said that it should be lower.
It's kind of like we can sell you new hip for this price, not this. Those big ticket items, they're going to be able to reduce the price on hips, shoulders, knees.
Another question. Why are we sticking with Rob? Is there others that provide different options?
I guess I would answer that this is my first year working with Rob. I haven't seen a need to change yet. I think there are some others out there for sure, but I haven't had anybody come that's never have had the union or our organization say we're not happy with the service that we're getting. To the point where this year again I'm going to take some off of my overhead just so that we can negotiate a better deal. He really is. I feel he's in it for us. He's willing to come in and sit in through open season again, because it'd be a lot easier if we stayed with the same company and he pushed a 14% change, with the same company, and then there's no renewals. And so there's a lot of work on their side trying to get a new company back in. So if we would have went Blue Cross or we went Allegiance, there would have been a lot more work again with that. So I haven't had a need, or nor have I heard of anybody say that they're not happy with this service.
Well, I beg to differ.
Okay.
Because my wife and I are doubly insured, SKC in here. And I don't want to say this in a public meeting, but there's been some issues. And I think there's other alternatives that we should look at. I don't care how difficult it is, I think we should look at it.
Quick question, can someone tell me who is on the insurance committee? Because that's who's making the recommendation.
I am, Doug is, Rex is, we have
Carla Farnstrom from middle school.
And then
we
Debbie
have-
Knudsen and
from
Tanya-
PCEA.
Yeah, and Tanya Elliott from PCEA, myself and Carl and Mr. Wells.
So, just a moment, so just so I'm clear, so what we have before us is we have a recommendation from a committee of staff and administration who are recommending to us that we approve this. And the staff who are gonna be using this service are making this recommendation that we approve this. So my question, not that I'm disagreeing, but I'm like, if it's their service and they've gone through this process and they are requesting that we approve it, short of, malfeasance or something, I'm not sure if we should hold off if they've gone through, it's for them, they've requested it. Trustees?
Sometimes, I guess a question to be thrown out there was, a lot of times when we go out there to get, to look for something new, we usually get bids, or we find that there's a comparison to something else, but you guys said that within Payne West, the services that were offered through them were anywhere from 10 to 20%. But that was only through Payne West.
I think Payne West is an open
all
insurance,
country, yes,
he
correct.
can get bids from anybody.
So
And
the Blue Shield-
he obtained
Okay.
health insurance bids from
Gotcha.
There were
a large number.
Yeah.
5 insurance companies: Blue Cross Blue Shield, Must, Allegiance, Pacific Source, and one other.
And there were some that refused to give bids.
Yeah.
So you've had your numbers and your comparisons and your quotes and your bids and.
So did you try Bishop Insurance? Did you try Dooley? Anybody else?
Well, no, the agent, the only agent that we've worked with has been Rob. No, as Rex said, no other agent has expressed really an interest in working with us, and they're gonna rep the same companies. They're gonna call the same insurance providers. There's only a finite number of insurance providers.
And you know that for sure?
There are only a finite number of insurance providers. I don't know if Rob checked them all, but I know there are a finite number of them.
But you're just working with Rob?
Yes.
I don't like that.
So I think so we really have two issues. One, we have the insurance in front of us that we need to make a decision on. And then the second issue that that I will bring up and explore is the broker in which we are looking for insurance.
Who makes the decision on the broker that is used? Are we in?
I think the health insurance committee has basically been going with Rob in absentia of any objection.
Okay.
I'm just gonna weigh in.
No, I think that's an issue.
I'm gonna weigh in, and I understand your concern, I'm just gonna weigh in on my experience because I deal with this on our businesses, but, we went through this headache. And I talked to Payne West, and we've been with Bishop for a lot of years, and it was a similar quote, because it is the same companies in their defense, so I think we're up against a timeline, because we need to start negotiations, and I think that these guys have gone through a lot of work, but I would be up for maybe exploring a different agent next year, but I think right now we're kind of needing to, that's my opinion and my 2 cents, is that we need to
If you don't approve at this
Approve it.
meeting, we're going to miss open enrollment before
Yeah.
teachers leave for the summer.
And that's what, we were up against the same deal, and that's the only reason I expressed my concerns, because I did have an employee who did need outside care, but there's certain times you can, or Shannon probably can tell us better, but, they do need to get rolling on it, otherwise they will, not be able to be ready to roll, but.
I think we're in this here, so.
Yeah, but I think that we need to, put that on the calendar to maybe explore other agents if that's possible, if the committee's up for that.
And that would be up to the committee.
Yes,
Are there any other trustees who haven't spoken to the issue yet and would like to weigh in? Shane?
I would make a motion.
Mm-hmm.
So go ahead and push
Okay,
it.
just really quick, anybody else have any other comments at this point? Okay, Shane, you wanted to make a motion?
I'll make a motion that we approve, that we.
Approve the recommendation?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Do we have any further comment from the board? Do we have any further discussion or public comment from the folks in the room? Seeing none, all those in favor of approving the recommendation made by the insurance committee, I'm going to read it exactly like it is, to recommend the group renewal proposal for the district's medical plans and Pacific Source Health Plans, forgive me, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed?
No.
Okay. The motion is passed with 1 nay. Okay, and make a note that for future, should the committee be interested, that we will support the idea of looking at other programs. Okay, all right. Moving on, number 20, recommendation to approve rehire of certified staff. Mr. Elliott. Number 20.
Well, it's that time of year.
It is that time of year.
And so we've put together a report for the high school district and the elementary district, and would ask that you approve each list as they're submitted. And unless you have any questions, that's what we're looking for.
I would move for the high school.
So we have a motion for the high school. Do we have a second? We have a motion and a second. Do we have any discussion regarding the submitted high school district list? Do you have any comments? All those in favor of approving the high school district list for recommendation for rehire as submitted, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? The recommendation is passed. Now we have the elementary school district recommendation for rehire.
I make a motion that we approve the elementary school district rehire for 2016-2017 school year, 17-18.
I second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Do we have any questions or comments? Seeing none, do we have any comments from the public? Seeing none, all those in favor of approving the elementary school district recommendation for rehire as submitted, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? The recommendation is passed. Okay, and that brings us to the personnel report? Okay.
So our personnel report is, for the most part, pretty much standard. We are starting to get to where we're hiring people for next year. So you'll notice that they're notated on the report. The other thing that I wanted to point out is somehow we neglected to hire 2 wrestling coaches at wrestling season. So if you look at the elementary report, we don't have a date there. They've essentially already done their duty, but for them to be paid, we need them to have board approval. So we're asking for approval, and that's our.
Okay, but just this time. Okay. All right, it's gotten real mellow up in here. Okay, at this point, I would entertain a motion to approve the high school district personnel report as submitted.
So moved.
Second. So we have a motion and a second. Do we have any discussion from the trustees?
Sorry, but I've gotten some feedback on the athletic director position.
Okay.
Specifically, the interview procedure.
Okay.
Can somebody speak on that?
Sure.
Rex, would you like to?
Yeah, I wasn't, obviously, it's, Mr. Wilson worked with Mr. Elliott and conducted the interview similar to what we had, or like we've had in the past. So what, I guess, what is it that?
Okay, so it was advertised in-house, right?
Correct.
Yeah. So how many applicants were there?
2.
And who was on the music committee?
This person,
I don't know if you could talk about it.
we can,
I'm just saying, I've gotten some feedback.
Sure,
that
I don't think there would be,
we'd
I
have to
don't
ask.
think there would be a problem with saying who was on the committee, would there?
I don't see an issue with that.
No, I think
Mr.
that would be
Sampson,
fine.
can you tell us who was all on the interview committee?
I think that's transparency 101.
Mr. Wilson, Mr. Sampson, Mr. Hislop, Emily Johnson,
Mr. Kelly.
Mr. Kelly.
Mr. Yarborough.
Mr. Yarborough.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah. I think we had a couple few interviews.
Okay. I was just checking, I wasn't sure. I'm surprised the person is not here tonight. So, you obviously probably know who it is, because he's the other candidate. But, I just was curious on, how that went.
And I might add also, trustee, that at any time, there's a question, you can always call me up to, and we can certainly discuss that. If there's a question earlier, you know, we could probably visit about that as well.
It was last night.
Okay.
Just clarification, Mr. Yarborough wasn't on the AD one, he was on a previous one.
And I can get that with them. I mean, I can pull the file. I can intentionally not micromanaging that piece of it. It's their leadership team and their.
Right.
So everybody's comfortable with everything?
Were you a part of that, Mr. Sampson? Okay.
Okay.
Okay, any other questions? We don't have any motions or anything yet, do we?
We have a motion and a second.
For the high school?
Yes.
Okay, for Baby.
This is for the high
That's for the high school. All right, do we have any further questions or discussions? We have a motion and a second on the floor. Do we have any other comment from the public? Seeing none, all those in favor of approving the personnel report for the high school district as submitted signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed?
I'll say nay.
Okay, it is passed with 1 nay. And moving on to the elementary school district report, personnel report. At this point, I would entertain a motion.
I move to approve the personnel report for the elementary school district.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Do we have any discussion? Question? Public comment? Seeing none, all those in favor of approving the personnel report for the elementary school district as submitted signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? The elementary school district report is passed as submitted. Seeing no further business before this board, I adjourn this meeting. Thank you all very much. Cousin Zeke.
Yes.
Is there
Were you here for your?
Yes.